who's here to go over some help with us. She's an experienced business, employment, and immigration attorney whose practice ranges from large corporate like compliance issues to advising entrepreneurial startups. Mary Ellen works with businesses in all stages of their development, from company formation to the sale of the business. She also manages DBS law practice area, wedding and events law. For 10 years, Mary Ellen has focused on legal needs of businesses in the wedding and events industry, making her a recognized national leader and speaker on legal issues impacting the wedding and events industry. So it is my pleasure to present to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Mary Ellen Reihsen.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure. I am a longtime former member of Twin Cities Weddings and Events. I lived here in Minnesota for most of my life, took a brief hiatus living out in Seattle for about 4 years, but now I'm back and reconnecting with a lot of clients in the area. I am a corporate and employment law attorney at heart. I've been practicing for 12 years. But before all that, I was a high-end caterer, so I've got some street cred that I bring to the weddings and events and live events industry. I have broken cases of wine and had tents blown over and had drunken uncles scream at me. So I write to that. I really can identify things that are gonna happen to you, like most lawyers will not be able to do. So it's been a weird year. We've got a lot going on. I've only got 10 minutes, so I thought I would really boil it down to some of the things that I'm seeing people do and pivot with their current contracts. You know, this industry is so relevant, especially nationally. I pulled the statistics this morning because I wanted to really hit home how important this industry is. It generates over $325 billion of direct spending a year and is responsible for almost 6 million jobs. So it's a big deal. It really affects the economy. And so whatever small part I can do to help keep businesses getting through all of this, I am honored to do it. So a lot of new laws are coming out very specific to Minnesota. We had big ones with Governor Walz on June 15th or June 5th, and then again on June 15th, sort of reopening the economy. Then we saw some more come out with the guidance on food and beverages on June 12th. And then the big one just came out on safe celebrations and events. That was on July 23rd and then revised on July 24th. At each stage of this, I've been working with clients to sort of pivot, absorb the new information, and figure out what we're going to do with our clients in our ongoing discussions and sometimes points of contention with those clients. So the big three things that I'm doing a lot of right now with my events folks are addendums to your contracts to focus on rescheduling. Doing this properly can save you a lot of headaches, but can also protect you in many ways. I highly recommend an addendum when you are changing your date or even the location, because it's a short one-pager, bit of information, and instead of bringing in a whole new contract to sign, you are not opening yourself up to negotiation on every point of your contract. Because right now people are very interested in what their contracts say in ways they have never been before. And so you don't necessarily want to step in that entire conversation on negotiating every point. So just a small one that accurately ties it back to the original contract and make sure that you still have all those original protections and policies in place. It's also a really good time to address, you know, if you're going to be doing rescheduling fees or you are anticipating doing upcharging for 2021 pricing, this is absolutely the time to talk about it and to make sure it's in the contract so it's binding. So that's a real place that I'm seeing a lot of work done, just to accurately and with minimal conflict reschedule your dates. So new safety precautions, that's the second area where there's been a lot of buzz. Just right out of the gate, I do not think waivers for every guest are necessary. I honestly, I don't think they're practical for live events. The idea that you're going to get, you know, Aunt Tilly to sign a waiver in advance or even at the door, you know, with another, you know, group of people behind her is just not realistic. What I do think you need to do at your venues and at every point where they're sort of stopping, looking, bars, bathrooms, entrances, coat check, all of those things, is have appropriate signage that makes clear that they are assuming the risk of being out in a pandemic. They knowingly are out in the middle of a pandemic and may be exposed to something. So having proper signage up all over the place is going to save you a lot of headaches. In addition to that, I think it's very important to have some sort of additional contract with your direct clients. This is the place to make clear what your safety plan is. Hand washing stations, Purell all over the place, what your distancing plan is, all of those things. Make sure you inform them, make sure it's in writing, of course, make sure you do it. But this is the place to also make sure that they are aware and everybody agrees that they are responsible for the conduct of your guests, not you. And this is especially true for planners. In that guidance that came out on June 5th, I think it was June 5th, one of them, it specifically named planners as being the responsible party. I think that is cleared up a little bit in the follow-up guidance on July 23rd and 24th, but it doesn't state a specific person. So I am concerned that planners are potentially facing a little more liability here. So I want you to be extra careful. Having these written agreements with your clients saying that they are responsible and everybody understands that they are responsible for the guests and not you is key. This is also the place. I hope that you already have really high-level indemnity clauses in your existing contracts. If you don't, or even if you do, something very specific to the current pandemic that indemnifies you from any third-party liability is going to save you a world of hurt and stress. So putting in, just those simple things, making sure they know they're responsible, making sure they know what the plan is, and making sure that they know that they're indemnifying you from any of those third-party claims is going to be key. The third big thing we're doing a lot of is settlement agreements. When this started, my philosophy has always been do what's best for the business, do your very best to make sure that you can keep as much cash in your small business as possible and as much liquidity as possible, and in good faith, make every effort to not be paying out everything right up front. Negotiate those, reschedulings to the extent that you can. But now we're a little further in. The limits are very tight, and those dates sometimes are right on top of us, and we have to make deals sometimes. Sometimes it's appropriate to do some sort of refund and some sort of settlement. Anytime you're giving money back, I like to see a settlement agreement in place. This prevents them from taking money from you and then turning around and suing you anyway. So just that simple language is very important. It's also a great place to put in some non-disclosure language so they can't on social media share what deal you've arranged with one person. It may not be the deal you want to arrange with your other 50 clients. So something that prevents them from, really comparing notes with everybody else could be really advantageous. I'd also like to see, and this, I almost never support or recommend that people have non-disparagement language in their contracts. Normally it doesn't hold up. It really gets in the way. It's extremely off-putting on that first meeting with clients. But if we're at the place where we're refunding money and we have some sort of binding agreement that we're doing, I think some sort of non-disparagement language could be very appropriate here. And this will prevent them from taking a bunch of money from you and then bashing you on social media anyway.